Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be Do the Right Thing. I've got two emails I'm going to go through with you today. But before we get into it, I have a quote that I wrote I'd like to share with you because it's important to go through this, especially with what we're going to go through and cover in the next couple emails. And it says, "It is important to operate from a place of integrity and live your highest truth at all times, even when others do not. You should treat other people as you would like to be treated. If you have people in your life, whether they be friends, lovers, family, etc., who are not treating you right, you have to stand up for yourself and make it clear what you are willing and not willing to tolerate. If they continue to violate yourself and your dignity, then you must exclude them from your life until they either start treating you how you want to be treated, or they disappear to find their own way without you. If you continue to allow abusive behavior, you are simply enabling and inviting them to continue to mistreat you. It is a privilege for others to be a part of your life, not a right." So let's get into the first guy's email. This guy I had a phone session with over the past week. He says, "Hey Corey, I had a phone session with you the other day regarding girlfriend issues. We spoke on the phone last week. Anyways, I followed your advice about when she contacts me to try and have her come to my place. Like in this particular instance, he got dumped by his girlfriend. She blew him off. So she was the one that unilaterally changed the terms of their relationship. And so what I said to him is, like I say in all my videos, is when she reaches out to you, you should assume that she wants to see you and make a date happen. And since you were the one that got dumped, you shouldn't be willing to go out of your way. You want her to earn you back slowly over time, not just give yourself over to her." And so because she'd been jerking him around, and so what I told him to do is just, "Hey, I'd love to see you. When are you free to get together? Tuesday? Great. How about 8 o'clock my place? Why don't you bring a bottle of wine or coffee or tea, whatever you happen to drink, and come on over to my place, and we'll hang out and make dinner together. Hang out, have fun, and hook up at your place." Because you want to see that she's willing to come and do things that you want to do, as opposed to you taking her out to a nice expensive dinner and driving around town, this and that. He says, "Sure enough, a few days went by, and she hit me up one drunk night telling me that she misses me, so I told her to come by my place the next day. She did, and we had a great day. We had sex, but only oral sex." Well, it's more than you were getting before. He says, "She didn't want to have intercourse because she finds it emotional with me. But anyways, we went to dinner, and I let her do most of the talking. She eventually brought up our relationship and what made her unhappy. I listened and responded that I was sorry for my behavior and that I told her that wasn't me." Basically what he was doing is he was taking some substances that kind of changed his personality for a short period of time, and he just started being a total dickhead to her, and obviously she didn't like that. So he says the evening was pleasant, and she went home later that night as I had to go do some family stuff because my grandmother was in town. She proceeded to call and text me throughout the week about random stuff, like how she didn't like that I was friends with some girl that she didn't like on Facebook and other stuff. Then on Halloween, she started sending me pictures of her sexy Halloween costume. Later that night, she called me at 2 a.m., piss-ass drunk, telling me how much she misses me and that she loves me. I told her to come see me the next day. She did, although when she did, she was not like she was the weekend before. She was being very cold and distant. She told me how her night was and that there were these two guys, friends of her best friend, who ended up hitting on her all night and that she made out with one of them. She told me that he tried to stay over so he could sleep with her, but that she kicked him out." And he puts in parentheses, "I think she had sex with one of them." Probably, but at the end of the day, you guys aren't together anymore, so you got to treat her just as if she's one of the many possibilities that you're hanging out, having fun, and hooking up with. Because again, you're not going to be ready to just jump right back into an exclusive type of relationship. Because at this point, since she ended the relationship and started dating other dudes, you're not so sure that you actually want her back or want to be in a relationship with her. Again, if you look at the movies from 30, 40, 50 years ago, the woman's always chasing after the guy, trying to lock him down to a commitment to get him to be in a relationship. That is the essence of what feminine energy is all about. It's about bonding, it's about love, it's about connection, it's about opening up to receive love. And that's why when a guy acts that way, he in essence is acting feminine, just like the quote that I shared in yesterday's video. And when a guy acts feminine, it ruins the sexual polarity. When a guy moves into his feminine, it causes the woman to move into her masculine, and she's not going to like that because it's not her natural essence. It doesn't make her feel safe and comfortable because, in essence, she's not being herself. The roles are reversed, and it's confusing to her emotionally. And therefore, that's why it destroys attraction. It's why you shouldn't overchase and overpursue a woman. He says, I'm not sure why she wanted to tell me that, but whatever. Well, the reason she's revealing these things is because it's not that women lie. It's just that you got to learn to read between the lines. And so she's kind of getting it off her chest to say, hey, there's two other dudes. One of them I'm making out with, and the other guy's another possibility. Both of them want me. And your attitude should be like, hey, I don't care about these guys. They can keep you busy when you're not with me. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to give her the freedom to decide that she made a mistake and to choose you and blow those other guys off. Again, you must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. And if you give her the freedom to come and go, that allows her the time for her feelings to grow for you. And in that way, she'll start coming back more and more and harder to the point where she blows off the other guys, the other backup plans that are in her life. But again, you shouldn't be so over-eager just to take her back a week later and be exclusive again. You want her to earn you back. You want to see consistent effort over time that she's going to appreciate you and adore you. I mean, obviously, in this particular case, this guy was a real dick to his girlfriend for a period of time, and that ultimately led to the breakup. But she's got to earn you back, because if she doesn't earn you back, then she'll take you for granted, and she'll perceive that it's okay to jerk you around, and you'll keep coming back for more. He said, we had plans to go out to dinner, and before we went out, she told me that she's going to be acting like a bitch tonight, her exact words. Well, what I would have said to her is, honey, I would love to see you, but if you're going to be nasty and rude and mean and just be an asshole, I'm not interested in that. But if you've got something that you're upset about and you want to talk, I'm happy to listen. But you saying that sounds like, hey, I'm going to be a total asshole to you tonight, and I want you to sit there and take it. And your attitude as a man who loves himself and respects himself is going to say, I'd love to spend time with you, but I'm not cool with that. I'm not cool to hang out if you're just going to be nasty to me, because I'd rather go do something else or make plans with somebody else. He says, I asked why, and she responded, it's my coping mechanism for being around you. Again, if you allow her to be abusive, you're enabling her behavior. You're inviting her to continue to do that to you. He says, as we had dinner, I tried to get her to drink margaritas with me, and she got upset and said that she didn't want to drink because of the way she might act or feel around me if she got drunk. Oh, you mean like the other night when you came over to my place and you were all over me? He says, as the meal went on, she proceeded to text away on her phone the whole time while glancing up at me to make sure I didn't see her screen. Obviously, no doubt, texting a guy. See, she said, I'm going to be disrespectful to you on this date. And I'm going to be a bitch to you, and I'm going to be nasty. And you're basically enabling her behavior by going along with it. And on top of that, she's texting, obviously, another dude right in front of you. I mean, at the end of the day, she's free to do whatever the fuck she wants because she ain't your girlfriend anymore. And you ain't her boyfriend. He says, during our meal, she told me that she didn't want me to get my hopes up of us getting back together and that she has no feelings of getting back together with me. And I would have responded to that. It's like, hey, I'm just hanging out and having fun, and whatever happens in the future is whatever happens in the future. I just want to enjoy hanging out with you tonight. So if you want to hang out with me, then great, let's hang out together and have a good time. But if you want to sit there and text other people on your phone all night, well then, why don't we just get the hell out of here and you can go home and text whoever the hell it is you want. Because I wanted to hang out with you tonight, not sit here and watch you text other people on your phone. And obviously the way you're hiding it from me, it makes me think that, oh, these are other guys, maybe you're trying to rub my face or whatever, but that's just not cool. This is not fun for me. I mean, I can hang out at home and watch TV instead of sitting here watching you doodle on your smartphone. He says, I asked her if that's how she felt the last time we were broken up, and she replied yes. So I asked, what changed your mind? And she replied, we didn't talk for 2 months, and I realized I missed you, and I needed you in my life. Huh. The strongest negotiating position is being able to walk away and mean it. And that also goes for when she's mistreating you. You say, look, this is not cool. I'm not down with this. I don't want to sit here and watch you texting your phone all night. And if that's so, it's like you got two choices. You can put your phone away and focus on having a good time with me, or I could take you home and then you can text whoever the hell you want. This is not fun. This is not exciting. This is not what I had in mind. And you're communicating to her that you don't like her behavior and you don't like how she's treating you right now, and that she's basically ignoring you, trying to maybe line up a booty call for later, whatever the fuck else she's doing. But if you were to say that to her, she'd say, oh, I'm sorry, and she'll put her phone away. But if not, she's like, all right, let's go. Like, great. See you later. And then you take off. You take her home. He says, we went back to the house where I proceeded to make a move on her. She wasn't having it. She left and went home. And I didn't do any different than last weekend, and even kept my cool when she was texting away. Well, I would say the one thing that you did wrong was that when she said, I'm going to be nasty to you, you basically said, okay, great, let's go out and you can be nasty to me. You basically acquiesced to that, and that was being weak. Instead of being a guy who had self-respect, said, this is not cool. I don't want to go hang out with you if this is the way you're going to be to me. So that's where you went wrong. And so therefore, that's why she was disrespectful the whole night. And that's why she didn't want to be touched, because you didn't stand up for yourself. You weren't totally in your masculine. You were submissive, which is a feminine quality. And therefore, that caused her to be in her masculine. So she was testing you. And in that particular instance, you failed the test, my friend. But at the end of the day, she's chasing you. And if she's chasing you, what does that mean? She's not getting rid of you. He says, my question is, what should I do what I did last time and start ignoring her and not be in contact with her? Yeah, you should walk and never look back. Why? Because you didn't have a good time the other night, right? She was a bitch. She's texting other guys all the time, and she didn't want to be touched. You took her out to dinner, and it's like, what do you get for it? Nothing, except shitty attitude. And so your attitude should be like, I got fucking other options. I'm going to hang out with a girl who's excited to see me, who appreciates me, who likes what I like, and who's interested in the same kinds of things. He says, I feel as she's putting me on the back burner while she sees other guys and is using me for emotional reasons. That's why I would have just invited her over again for dinner and to hang out and see if her attitude improves. But you got to let her do 100% of the calling, texting, pursuing, and all of the initiating. Because remember, she dumped you. She's the one that decided, I'm not working on a relationship anymore. I'm going to date other guys. So your attitude should be like, great. Go work on other guys. Do whatever you want. And if you want to come back in the future, we'll see. He says, I don't want to be that guy. I'd rather move on and find another chick than let her use me the way I felt used the other night. Well, you enabled her behavior, so you got to take responsibility for that. Remember, no one will ever do or say anything to you that you don't invite them to do. And you invited her to do this to you by your being submissive. He says, what's your advice, my dude? Well, I gave you it, basically. He says, also, just giving you a progress report. I've been going out on dates with other chicks using the Tinder app that you gave me advice on. So I share with him all the best secrets that I've learned on how to make dates right away with chicks, hang out, have fun, hook up. And he did that. He says, I had sex with one of them a couple of days ago. Isn't that fucking awesome? It's just another one of the benefits by having me coach you. He says, and I'm going on another date with a new girl tonight. Hit me back soon. Take it easy, Corey. Awesome. That's great. Hang out, have fun, hook up. When the ex gets in touch with you, assume she wants to see you, make a date at your place, hang out, have fun, and hook up. And next time when she tells you in advance that she's going to be an asshole to you, you got to withdraw the offer and say, you know what? I didn't really have a good time the other night when we hung out because you were kind of nasty to me, and you were texting other dudes, and you were unaffectionate, and you were cold, and it's like, I don't want to hang out with you if you're going to be that way. I mean, I love you, I adore you, but there's got to be some mutual respect and appreciation here. And I didn't feel like you appreciated me at all, especially after you called me a few days before that and told me how you love me and you miss me. It's like, that just doesn't work for me. If you want to see me, I'd love to see you. I'd love to have a great time. But we're not gonna have a rerun of what happened the other night. So if you still want to get together and you want to have some fun, I'd love to see you when you're free to get together. Make a date. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. So let's get into the second email. This guy says, hey, Coach, as I watched one of your videos today about the guy who was trying to break up his marriage and date the female bank manager who moved away to another town, you mentioned in your commentary that he didn't want to be a little shit and cheat on his wife, or words to that effect. And then you continued with your commentary, as you said, along the lines of, man up and tell your wife it's over before you make a move for someone else, something to that effect. What struck me as you described this was how it echoes what women do, which is they decide that there's no future in the relationship and then set about getting a backup man in the wings while letting go of the relationship while they're still in it. Then when they leave, within a week, you find out that not only have they left you, but now they're dating someone else. The challenging question is, why is that acceptable behavior from women but not from men? I'm not saying it's acceptable behavior from women. I'm just saying that that's just pretty much how the majority of them operate. And you should be the better person, just like the quote that I shared. Come from a place of integrity. Just saying, you know what? It's not the fucking right thing to do to lead somebody else on and make them think that you're still committed to the relationship while you're lining up a replacement. It's just not an honorable way to be. That's all. So be the better man. You reap what you sow in life, and you go around dicking people over, you're going to get dicked over yourself. That's just the way it is. He says, I think this is a good question and needs a good answer. Here's my own story. About 3 weeks after my breakup, I find out my ex is now on holiday for 5 days with a new guy. When finding out more, it was a new guy that came on the scene 3 months before. The only way I feel I made progress other than viewing your more than helpful info was when given the let's just be friends speech, I replied, this doesn't work for me, I'm moving on, call me if you change what you want from me type of approach. She continues daily communications and has been to tell her that I'm dating another woman, which in effect was to play her game back to her. 2 months into the breakup, I've now added 4 other women, dropping the first, and her attraction levels have soared. Sad thing is, having been given the fresh air from the relationship, as much as there is love between us, I think it's another situation as you talk about with your ex-girlfriend in the UK. The relationship had run its course, and I'm better off, free from her to live my currently challenging life. It's getting better each day on my own and on my terms. Well, with my girlfriend from the UK, it's not so much that the relationship ran its course, it's just that she wanted to go back to school, and I didn't want to wait around for her to finish, and I certainly didn't want to see her less. And it's tough when you break up with somebody that it's not like we weren't fighting, it's not that we weren't getting along, we're getting along great, as good as always. But her life was moving in a different direction from mine, and I was starting a new business at the time. And what we were going to be able to do as far as the time we were going to be able to spend with each other, it just wasn't acceptable. I mean, bottom line is when you're in college, especially the degree that she became a doctor. And in that particular case, you're like married to your college. And basically, the only way you can really maintain a relationship is if you live in the same city, because then we could be together and come home and all that stuff. But like I said, it's just sometimes those things happen. You got to be strong enough to say, you know what, things are changing, things are evolving, and I'm happy for you that you want to go back to school or you want to do whatever it is that you're going to do with your life. But this just doesn't work for me. I don't want to do a long distance relationship where I see you maybe a couple times a year. That doesn't work for me. That's all. It's part about standing up for yourself and what you want. I don't want her to give up her career. I mean, I couldn't marry her at the time. I didn't want to marry her at the time. I just wasn't in that place where I felt ready for it. But it was really the only way we could be together long term, at least in the States, was if I got married. And I'd been through that once before with my ex-wife. I know what that's like when it doesn't feel right. And what I would have rather have done is continue to date and see how things went. But with her going back to college, we were going to see each other less and less, and that's, like I said, it's just not a lot of fun in those cases. So he says a video on this sort of subject would be helpful to remind people the devastation of the breakup is soon surpassed as you gain time to look objectively at the relationship, the girl, and essentially, if it weren't so crap at game and talking to girls, her loss is not the beginning of a huge hole in your life. Rather, she's opened the door to allow you to be free once again. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if a relationship doesn't work the first time around, meaning if you're not getting along, if you're arguing, if you're dating someone that's passive-aggressive, like one of my other girlfriends that I've talked about, not only in my book, but on numerous videos over the years, I mean, you just get to the point where you get worn out by the drama and the fact that it's not easy to be with that person. As much as you love them, as great as sex is, and as much as you enjoy being together, you date somebody that just constantly creates drama, and not only in your relationship, but that's how all of our friendships are. That's how our relationships are with our family. It's like, just get tired of it. It wears you out. And that person is better suited to be with someone who has the same kind of life, that has lots of drama and bullshit going on in their lives. It's like misery loves company. And it's like, I'm just not down for that kind of BS. But it's like when you love somebody and you care about them and you're emotionally invested, it's hard to see that they're just not really bringing a lot of balance into your life. They're bringing chaos into your life. And over time, it's like, stop this fucking merry-go-round. I want to get off. So he says you got to up your game, get your life and yourself in order. As I look at it, and each long-term partner has been better than the one that went before, which is why I consider a loss. Each time you go through this process, you get better at understanding what it is that you want in your partner. Exactly. The more relationships that you have, the more women that you date, the more women that you hook up with, the more breakups that you go through, the stronger you become as a man, because as you get older, it's like when you're younger, you feel like, oh my God, I'm never going to find anybody else. But as you get older, you realize that life is too short to stay in a bad relationship, or a relationship that doesn't serve you. Like, I was just reading an article online, and it was a study that was done on, I think it was like 7 characteristics of a healthy marriage. And one of the characteristics is that after people have been married for a period of time, they basically revert back to their set point of their own personal happiness. And you've obviously, if you've been watching me for a while, I read my book, you've heard me say numerous times that if you're not happy right now today with your life being single the way you are, you're not going to be happy in a relationship. You'll be happy for a period of time, but once the newness wears off, you go back to just like this article was saying that they've confirmed in studying couples that stay together a long time. And basically, in essence, couples that have a lot of fun together, they have more fun times than bad times, meaning they find reasons to have a good time together. They have high standards for themselves and their relationship and their partner, meaning that when the other partner is not living up to their expectations, they call them out and they're bullshit. They say, hey, I don't like the way you're treating me. It's all about having self-respect and self-love. All the things that I talk about were also confirmed by this particular study. And that's why it's so critically important that you focus on having something that you do for a living that is emotionally compelling to you, something that you really love and that you really enjoy. Living your life and going and doing the kinds of things that you want to do with the kind of people that you want to do it with. Doing things you love. And then in the process of doing things you love, you'll meet someone who has similar goals, similar values, similar interests. And you can do the things that you love because it's a mutual love that you share with each other. You come together to share your complete. It's not to complete yourself or not to complete the other person. The idea is two complete people who love their lives and who are just having a great time being single come together to have a great time together. So he says, continues on, the next one will be even better than the last, which I've always found that. It's like, because you learn from each relationship, you learn from each experience. And like I said, as you become older, you're just simply not willing to settle because you know deep down to get into, and it's also the study, what it also said and confirms the stuff that I teach all the time, which is relationships where people get into it and they don't really have high expectations and they're not really that into it, they're not really that into their partner, obviously it's not a very strong bond, it's not a very strong relationship, and that's why those end in a divorce. Like when I look back at all the friends of mine that I grew up with, and through our 20s and our 30s, how many of them were married and divorced numerous times, was that they were just making poor choices in their relationships. It's just because a lot of times when you're young, like for me, like when I was in my mid-20s, it's like everybody was getting married. And so you kind of feel like, hey, I'm going to be left out here. It's like, because we're going to all these weddings, my ex-wife and I were going to all these, it's like every other week we're going to somebody's wedding, and you kind of feel like left out. You feel like, wow, there's something wrong with me if we're not getting married. Because, everybody that's getting married or that is married, they put pressure on their single friends or the people that aren't married yet to get married because it makes them feel comfortable about the fact that they made a decision to get married in the first place. And then, 10, 15 years later, you realize that most of those people end up getting divorced. I mean, hell, our divorce rate's over 65%. I mean, the odds aren't good that your marriage is going to last unless, of course, you make a healthy choice. Unless, of course, even when the relationship might be healthy or with your girlfriend of several years, deep down, if it doesn't feel right, you're going to learn to trust that voice and walk away, even though it's hard, because deep down that it's harder in the long run to stay in a relationship with somebody that you're really not happy with. He says, what she's given me, he says, the next one will be even better, and what a gift that she's given me, meaning the ex, and how can I not thank her for that? It's like, yeah, that's the way I look at all my previous relationships. They were all a gift. These women that I was with made me into the man that I am today. And I don't look back on any of those relationships as like they were a bad thing or they were horrible. I mean, yeah, there were difficult times that I went through, but it shapes who you are. Your struggles and your difficulties and your challenges in life, that's what shapes you into the person that you are. So he says it's like not to take it personally, to chalk it up to experience and move on. Now who do I know who keeps saying that? Mr. Corey Wayne. So it's, again, this reader's he's starting to realize and experience the things that I talk about. And that's the idea with these coaching videos, is to teach you the things that I know so you can learn from my mistakes. Not only my mistakes, but all the guys and girls whose emails that I'm reading. Because it's like each time I go through a story like this, it's like you gain the wisdom of that experience almost as if you had it yourself, obviously without having to go through all the difficulty and the pain and the heartache, but you just gain the wisdom from that person's experience. Everybody learns from everybody else, and that's why I share these things, because these emails, they constantly reiterate the strength of the wisdom and the techniques that I teach in my book. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone coaching session or Skype session, or you can also do email coaching by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.